Hello again, ladies and gents. Welcome back to the AJ Roberts Show. Today we are joined by Hope and Tovin from Fix The World Morocco. I've been speaking to these guys for a little while now, and I was introduced to these beautiful people by our mutual friend, Tom Numbers. He's out there doing fantastic work. Big shout out to Tom. And for those of you who followed my podcast and a lot of my work for quite some time, you would have seen that I've had the Orinoco healing pillars within the house, which is all about life force energy and the preservation of it. Now, these beautiful people have fantastic products that are handmade that they're bringing to the world that are exclusive from Morocco. There's all about the prevention and protection from harmful EMFs that we're surrounded by on a daily basis. And in the Western world, it doesn't matter what you try, it's hard to get away from them. And just having Wi-Fi in your house at 2.4 gigahertz, I know very well, can be detrimental over time. So it's a great opportunity to invite the two of you onto the show today to explain about your product, how it came about, how you make it, and the benefits that you're seeing in people all around the world. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you, AJ.
Hello to everybody in your audience. If this is the first time that you've ever seen us, we just want to say welcome to our world of orgo and energy. I think you guys are really going to enjoy what we have to share today.
Yeah, fantastic. So just a bit of background then about you guys and how you came about coming together to actually get involved in this in the first place. Is it all right to just sort of share a bit about that story?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Basically, we came about, well, the business wasn't a business initially. We're both sufferers from, we're both very sensitive to EMFs. And we found out in our own way that we were sensitive. So I won't go too much into that other than for me, I was suffering from things dealing with my insomnia and being unable to sleep at night. And it got a big one. And it got to the point to where it was actually hurting me during the day. It became debilitating because if you can't sleep properly, then you basically are useless during the day. You can actually go crazy. You might even die because you can't sleep. And these were for periods of weeks at a time. So it was becoming a problem. And at the time, Naima's mother, she had something she got from an event from a fair a couple of years ago. And it was like a craft energy healing fair. And it was basically a composite of epoxy resin with aluminum shavings on the inside. And she still had it. And she gave this to me. And at this point, I wasn't sleeping in like over 2 weeks, no solid rest. And she said, well, why don't you try this? I was telling her my problem. She said, why don't you try this? And so I had this in the bed with me. And that evening, it was the first deep sleep I had in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And, I'm coming from a technical background, prior military technician service background, university service. But so I was skeptical when she gave me this thing. I was like, well, how is this possibly going to help me? And after that, then it basically opened up a whole new area of research for me to find out, what is this called? What is it? How does it operate? How does it work? And it started to put us on this journey of making versions of our own, with getting materials and mixing it together, finding out what are the EMF properties of these things. Our prototypes are very ugly and clunky at the time. And we were putting all kinds of things. I was putting all kinds of things on as like pendants, giant hockey pucks and things like that.
We've come a long way since the beginning, that's for sure.
All I gotta say, AJ, if you can't sleep, and you don't want to take drugs, you do almost anything to try to get comfort, because if you don't, you can't operate the next day. So it starts to compile and become a problem. So you're willing to do almost anything. And we did almost everything. And so I found something that seemed to work to a degree. And then after that, not telling Naima anything, let her put on the first prototype pendant to see what would happen.
Yeah, and as soon as he says, wear this, and I put this pendant on, and I immediately felt very, very calm, like I wanted to go take a nap. And I'm usually like, I have a lot of anxiety and stress and all that stuff that a lot of people suffer from. And I was like, this is amazing. I feel really incredible. And I asked him to make me something that's bigger that you can hold in your hand, which is our sleeping pods, so that I could sleep with it. And again, it cured my insomnia as well. And I had horrible insomnia, mostly from the EMFs in my environment. You know, when you're surrounded by the cell phones and the towers and all the smart appliances, especially if you do things like sleep with your cell phone next to your head, you know, which you should never do. But these things interrupt your sleep. So it worked so well for me. It worked for my husband. And then we started to just give this away as gifts to our friends and family. And then we started getting a demand saying, can you please give me more? Send me more. So we started shipping this out because we're in Morocco. And we started shipping this out to people and our family and friends in the US and other countries. And it just kind of organically evolved into a business because there was so much demand. People were saying that it was working for them. It was helping them. We've had amazing testimonies. Everything that ranges from being able to sleep to pain relief, and all sorts of things. So we've done a ton of study. We have like about 7 years of videos, scientific videos and explanatory videos on our website that explain why our products work and how they work, and how they can help you and what the benefits are from them. So we're going to go through a little bit of that today. We do have a PowerPoint that we put together to try to introduce people to the concepts of orgone energy, which is what our products are all about. That's what does the EMF protection, that and the shungite that it's in our products as well.
Which is essential.
All right, so we'll explain that. And that's kind of how we started. And so here we are. We've been doing this since 2017, by the way, and we've just grown and grown. It's been a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
Well, what's really fascinating is, and even from my own sort of like learnings and stuff like that, and I've got a sort of like quite extensive like a military background like yourself, but obviously like engineering and how things are made. Like I've always been very interested in physics, metaphysics, and I guess for a huge portion of people, the last 3 years has actually like grown that level of like intuition in people, hasn't it? They've like everyone's grown this deeper level of intuition and wanted to learn more about energy, frequency, vibration, and stuff like that. And you know, I'm always a big advocate of like the pandemic has literally awoken people to these grander thought processes and everything, and what's actually around us. Like, what is the energy around us? What are we really as electromagnetic, you know, beings, basically, in a nutshell. People starting to understand that's how we operate and work as on a cellular level. And what's been great is like learning about all these different modalities that are coming out. And I referred to the Orinoco healing pillars that I have in the house, which is just like you guys, you know, the couple that run the company, they built the prototypes first. They build the pillars themselves, just like you guys do the work yourselves. So you're putting that, like, all that love energy into that every single product that people then receive. And I cast my mind back to probably about a year and a half ago now, and I interviewed the guys that wrote the book "What Really Makes You Ill," Dawn Lester and David Parker. And one of the key things about what actually makes us sick is, other than stress, other than the toxins in the food and the water, is EMF. And that's one of the biggest things. And gosh, I'm sure anybody watching this has probably had a period somewhere in the world where between 2021, 2022, they come down with flu-like symptoms and a loss of taste and smell. Now, we know full well, and from my studies and from the podcasts I've done and from the experts, that wasn't, you caught a cold from somebody else. That was all to do with these towers, to do with the EMF, to do with the frequency, to do with the radiation.
Yes.
And that's why so many people en masse got that. So protection is of the utmost, you know, because it's all very, you know, we're kind of nudged into these societies, aren't we? That like all the technology is there for us. When in fact, it's actually at a cellular level, it's actually doing us a lot more harm than good, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's also difficult because you can't see EMFs. You know, just like you can't see the information that's traveling across the air in your room from the Wi-Fi, but you can see it when it shows up on your computer screen. You know, But so we've been trying to just bring people's attention to these fields that you can't see. Then just because you can't see them, that doesn't mean that they're not real.
Yes.
Because EMF definitely attacks your immune system at the cellular level. And so there's, I mean, one of the slides that we've got is showing like hundreds of studies that show what EMF does to your body, and specifically 5G, which is a more harsh form of EMF. So there's reasons why all those frequencies, like there's a long list of ailments that it causes, and flu-like symptoms and respiratory issues are definitely top of that list of the EMF caused illnesses.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you guys have got a share of the screen, so without further ado, please go ahead and share all the information with us.
Let's see.
So for the benefit of the guys and girls who tune in and are listening via audio, I'll do my best as we go through to kind of, along with the guys, just to narrate what we're looking at here.
Okay, yeah, thanks for letting me know. I'll do that as well for thinking about people that are listening audio only. We'll describe what people are looking at on the screen. So this is an EMF protection basics presentation. And basically, this is just a little bit of a summary of what we're going to cover here. We're going to talk about why we do what we do, the dangers of EMF, what you can do to protect yourself from EMFs, the science behind it, talking about orgone and shungite.
We're also going to talk about how we make our EMF protection products, how our EMF protection products work, and more science dealing with the blood tests, plants, ice tests, and pyramid shape studies, benefits and testimonials. And also we have links and more info reference can be found on our blog post on our website at ftwproject.com.
And there's going to be a special link that you're going to put up for this video, wherever it is. Please make sure you use AJ's link, because we've got an affiliate relationship with him, so that we can see that he's coming from, that you're coming from his audience, if you want to come and ask questions. Anyway, so this is why we do what we do. We're Christians, engineers, and scientists. We feel it's our calling to help inform people about the technology that's being used against God's creation. We wrote a book called Forbidden Tech, which is the complete guide to energy, social, and biological technologies that they did not want you to know about. We wrote that in 2017. We do have a website for that if you're interested in checking it out, because it comes in written form, audio book form, and we also have a video course for that. We make our handmade products for orgonite and shungite, which we're going to be showing you today. And in addition to that, we also have an online engineering academy for the co-development of researching and building DIY off-grid energy devices. And if you're interested, you can check us out there at cleanenergyacademy.com. So let's talk a little bit about the dangers of EMF radiation.
Okay, so there's compelling evidence for 8 distinct types of great harm caused by the electromagnetic field, or EMF exposures, and the mechanism that causes them. So there's a 127-page ebook, and it's a powerful summary of the science that the telecom companies don't want us to know, because it scientifically demonstrates beyond any reasonable doubt the biologically harmful effect of 5G deployments and wireless radiation in general. And this is a book that was written by Martin L. Paul, PhD, and he was professor emeritus of biochemistry and basic medical sciences at Washington State University. And it's called 5G Risk, the Scientific Perspective. And he basically goes deep into the intercellular mechanism of harm from wireless radiation and 8 primary areas of biological harm. So this professor from Washington State University, he basically has a compelling quote that he wrote in the book that basically summarizes just a fraction of the cellular damage done by 5G. EMFs act by activating channels in the membrane that surrounds each of our cells, called voltage-gated calcium channels. The EMFs put forces on the voltage sensor that controls these gates of about 7.2 million times greater than the forces on other charge groups in our cells. This is why weak EMFs have such large biological effects on our cells of our bodies. EMFs work this way not only on human and diverse animal cells, but also in plant cells. So this is a universal or near universal mechanism of action.
So in general, what can you do to protect yourself against EMFs? So there are several things that you can do to protect you and your family. And we have a list here, which is detox your body from heavy metals, because the heavy metals inside your body make you a very good antenna for the EMFs in your environment. So you want to make yourself a bad antenna, if that makes any sense, by getting those heavy metals out. Also, you want to change your diet to boost your immune system, because your immune system can fight off the EMFs, the stronger your immune system is. And also you can, if you can, move to a more natural area, get out of the city. We know that that's hard to do, but if it's at all possible, try to get away from all this technology and equipment. Turn off your Wi-Fi at night. You definitely don't want EMFs going through your brain while you're sleeping, because that causes a lot of harm, not to mention some pretty bad dreams sometimes. And then last, but definitely not least, is to equip yourself and your home with EMF protection products, which is what we will be talking about. So let's introduce you to the science behind our products, which is called orgone science, or orgone energy.
Okay, so in the 1930s, the late Dr. Wilhelm Reich discovered that living samples placed within containers made from alternating layers of steel and non-conductive organic material were able to harness healthy, what is defined as cosmic energy from the environment. And now he called this energy orgone. Now there's other names for it, AJ. I mean, you might have heard names like torsion field, scalar,
cosmic energy, yeah.
The University of Pennsylvania replicated one of the experiments. They only called it cosmic energy. That's how they defined it. So these orgone accumulators, these boxes that are made from these metal and non-metal layers, had the ability to preserve blood samples for longer periods of time, sprout healthier plant seedlings, and provided pain relief for his patients who sat inside of them. Now, to modern day, instead of a box with the composites made from a blend of iron oxide, steel, brass, shungite, and crystal powders encased in an epoxy resin, produce the same effects and are able to transform the harmful wireless fields from cell towers, smart meters, smartphones, an internet router, and your television into more beneficial energy for you and your plants and your pets. And we go more into the explanation on our website as well, dealing with this energy.
And we also want to talk about shungite. So we put shungite in every single one of our products. And shungite is a rare mineral. It's believed to come from an asteroid that can only be found in one place in the world, and that's in Karelia, Russia. It's the only mineral of its kind that contains fullerenes. Fullerenes, which have been proven effective in protection from EMFs and can also be used for cleaning nuclear waste, such as in Fukushima.
Okay, so for those who are listening to the program, basically what we have on this slide is an illustration showing how EMFs coming from us, they come with a certain spin, and that spin is toxic to life in general, both plants and animals. But shungite, as a natural mineral, inherently has a fullerene. It's a naturally occurring fullerene within the shungite mineral. And one of its abilities is able to change the spin, this toxic spin, into a spin of a different orientation that is more biocompatible. And that's just one of the main amazing quantum effects of this shungite mineral. And it's also why, AJ, you probably, and you look more into how shungite is used in that part of the world, especially in resorts like in Sochi and places like that. They take the shungite as it comes in like a rock form, and the different grades of shungite, and they can pulverize into a powder. And they either they can make paints. They make paints out of them, and they paint rooms with these. They line the rooms with these paints and shungite stone, and they turn into like a relaxation, grounding, meditation rooms, where you go into these rooms and you're completely shielded electromagnetically and energetically from the environment.
Not to mention, it's cleaning the energy as well. It's not just blocking the energy, but it's
actually transforming it.
Transforming it and changing the way that it spins. Sorry, you were going to say something.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, that the only country in the world where this rarity comes from that's protective against the very things that have been built by the West happens to be Russia, which happens to be surrounded by NATO.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because we joke about, like, you know, some of these shows talk about how, you know, because of financial crisis, you should stock up on gold and silver. It's like, well, maybe you need to stock up on some bricks of shungite also,
yes,
because of its abilities. Some of the research from the scientists that study this mineral in Russia, they have an amazing claim about this mineral. The fullerene isn't just a single buckyful Minster cage. It's not just a single layer. It's like an onion skin, a fullerene within the fullerene within the fullerene. And they have, from what they describe, it not just cleans up electromagnetic fields, it also cleans up radiation, radioisotopes, like nuclear radioactive elements. They have observed where a particle goes into the fullerene, and over time it decays much faster than normal, to the point where it disappears. It literally disappears within the cage. They have no explanation why that happens. It just completely violates what they thought how quantum fields behave. But these fullerenes also, they use it to decontaminate radioactive areas because of that ability.
Brilliant.
So now we don't really have like a secret formula for how we make our products. And we actually put a video out on our website that shows you step by step exactly how we make our products. And we also encourage people, if you have the skills and you want to get your own ingredients, to make this for yourself, if you'd like to. But so this is just explaining how we make our products. We take all the different powders that we'll talk about in a second, we mix them all together, and then we put a 2-part epoxy resin we mix that powder into the resin. We pour it into a mold that we make ourselves, a silicone mold. It's based on a master that we've also made ourselves. And then after it sits in that mold for about 48 hours, then it cures, and the whole thing gets really hard. It goes from a liquid into a solid, and it cures into a solid piece. And then we pop that out, and that's our orgonite product, whichever it is. So this is exactly what's in them and how they work. So we make the products by hand, and what we do is we mix the shungite, iron oxide, steel, brass, and quartz crystal, all in powder forms, into an epoxy resin. And we use powders because a powder has more surface area than a shaving or a solid piece of something. And the more surface area you have inside of your orgone piece, the more powerful the field is that's generated because of the surface area. So when that epoxy cures into a solid plastic state, it puts pressure on the surface area of the ingredients, and this causes something known as the piezoelectric effect, which emits a harmonizing field generated by the specific properties of the ingredients. And it is this field that transforms the harmful energy from the EMFs into healthy, life-preserving energy. And you can place our products all around yourself and your environment for the best effect.
So just to touch on that, just elaborate on what you're saying there, in line with like what I teach on my courses and stuff, and through meditation and breath work. When we pull the cerebral fluid mechanically from the base of the spine up into the third eye, up to your pineal gland, and when you actively open your pineal gland, your crown, you create that piezoelectric effect from you. And this is something that's like this ability is dumbed down in us because of the amount of EMFs around us. So that's another attack on the human body to stop your spiritual self being aligned all the time, you know, like that field being open.
Yes. I would like to go further and say that if you're doing exercises like that having products like this in the environment would make it easier for you to make that breakthrough in that meditation practice that you're doing.
Absolutely. You
know, because what you're doing is, like, just imagine that you're being just attacked and bombarded constantly with this toxic energy. If you could just hold it back and change it to give yourself the chance that you need to do those biofield exercises in order to do what you're talking about. It makes it easier to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now what we've got here is this interesting slide that has a whole bunch of different tests and studies. This is just a snapshot. On our website, we've got more in-depth videos that go through this, but there's been at least 4 different studies. So people say, how do you measure the field? How do you measure your products, and what are the effects? This is how you measure it, because we're measuring a field. We're not measuring like
voltage or current.
Yeah, we're measuring life force, right? So there's a few ways that you can measure this to see. First of all, up here on the top right of the screen, you'll see two slides of seeds. And this was an experiment that was done by the University of Pennsylvania, where they took seeds from the same batch, and they put seeds in one control where there was no orgone energy, and they put the other seeds in a control box that had orgone around it. So it was
orgone accumulator.
An orgone accumulator. And so basically what happened was, over time, the orgone energy sprouted more seeds than the one that did not have the orgone energy.
Yeah, you can see the one that was in the accumulator, AJ, is it. For those who are listening, we basically have the samples. It's just an image of the seeds that germinated. More of them germinated on the sample on the right versus the one on the left. One on the left is normal control conditions within a wooden box. The one on the right is the one that was with inside the accumulator box. And the conclusion, this was the team that they concluded that the box is accumulating cosmic energy, and this energy, this potential, is being absorbed by the water, because I think that like the fabric it was on had water so that the seeds can germinate. And then the seeds are uptaking that water, that energized water. And that's what's leading to healthier sprouts and more germination. So it was about the water pulling in the potential that was stored within that box. That's the process.
And likewise, we also have another test where gardeners are using this orgone energy. So they'll make these orgonite composites and they'll put them in their garden beds. So there's a picture below of 2 garden beds that are both growing the same thing. The garden bed on the right has much bigger, larger, the plants are doing much better because that's the one that has orgone energy in the garden bed that's preserving that life force around the plants. And then the one on the left, the plants are very sparse. They're not doing as well because there's no orgone energy there. And you have to remember that our environments, especially even if you live on farms and stuff, there is EMF radiation just circling the whole planet.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So it's everywhere, and the plants get it too. The plants, the animals,
the insects,
it's hitting everything. Like the bees.
Yes.
The bees are affected by it as well.
Awesome. Well, I mean, just after what she is saying, the bees are probably the most sensitive insects when it comes to being to the effects of EMFs. And that's also can be explained for the bee collapse, because EMF compromises the immune system. Bees are extremely sensitive to the changes of EMFs, even out in the middle of a rural area. So you have this, you have a team of beekeepers around the world called shungite. They're like shungite beekeepers. They take shungite powder, they line the beehive with paint that is infused with shungite. And we not only ended or stopped the bee collapse, but the population has grown. They grow in size by using that method to remove that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things on bees as well, as we all know, they're like probably one of the most critical thing to all our environments and ecosystems, aren't they? So, the eradication of bees means eradication of many things.
Exactly.
Yes, they're the canary in the coal mine.
That's right. Yeah. There's 2 other tests too. So one of them is called the ice test. And what we do is, first you take a clear glass, you put some water in it, preferably distilled water, right? And you put that in your freezer and you let it freeze, and you just look at what kind of pattern comes out in the ice that's formed.
No orgone sample in the first test. So you need a control.
That's your control. And then you put the same kind of clear glass with water in it, same kind of water, on top of something like a charge plate, one of our charge plates. And there's a picture here showing what happens. What happens is that as that ice is freezing and turning into ice, it actually captures the energy field that is accumulating from the charge plate underneath it. So what you'll see are these little like spikes that are right above the charge plate going up into the ice. And that is the result of a field that's being generated. And then you'll see like a tornado shape in the center of the ice.
A funnel.
It all kind of accumulates together into a funnel. Some people actually use food coloring in order to show this. So what you're doing is you're essentially capturing a field of energy that you can't see in a form that you can see it when you're freezing it in ice.
Yeah.
And the other way, which I think is probably one of the most fascinating ones, is something called the Reich blood test.
So the Reich blood test has been replicated by several labs, and basically you have a certain number of patients, and each patient gives 2 samples of blood. And now everyone knows that, I mean, when you take blood out of the body, it will decay. It'll start to die. So you're basically measuring the time it takes for the blood to become misshapen and the blood cells individually to die. Okay, and so in the test, you have 2 blood samples. One goes into a control box once again, and the other goes into an accumulator. And you're measuring the rate of decay, the rate of death. And so what you see in this slide, in this image, are 2 blood samples. The one on the left is the one that's in the organ accumulator after 50 minutes of the blood draw. And then the one on the right is in the control box. And what you find on the one on the right, there's more blood cells that are misshapen. The spiky portions you see on the surface of these blood cells is called ribosomes. It's what you get before the blood cells basically start to fall apart.
It's a dying blood cell.
It's a dying blood cell. That's what a dying blood cell looks like. You know, we didn't know a lot of these things until we did the research that this is what happens to blood. So there's all these dying blood cells in this sample versus on the left, you literally only see like 2 misshapen dying blood cells. And with the lab test, one of the laboratories concluded that blood looks like it takes much longer to decay, along the lines of 70% longer to decay.
So it's like a fountain of youth for your blood.
And again, like we mentioned with the plants absorbing the seeds, absorbing the energized water, most of our blood is water. Obviously, you put in an accumulator, that blood sample is absorbing the potential that's inside the accumulator and is extending the time of decay for the blood.
And we also wanted to talk about the shape of the pyramid. So there is a whole bunch of work that has been done around the pyramid shape. So it's not just shaped like a pyramid for the way it looks. There's actually like a function in the geometric shape.
And we're aware there's other studies dealing with pyramid power, that just by the geometric shape of the pyramid alone gives it unique abilities. And this kind of goes into that as well. But we're also going to talk about using what these having pyramids in using certain materials is able to do. Now, this research we're about to mention is based on the research of an Alexander Golod, and he was a scientist out of Russia, a former Ukrainian former defense contractor, and this is in the late 90s, early 2000s. Okay, and he performed pyramid research from the University of Moscow. They gave him a big budget to do this, where he used expensive military aircraft and helicopters and equipment that can measure the effects around these pyramids. So he's building these pyramids in the rural areas of Moscow. These pyramids were about 10 stories tall and very large. The rural areas of Moscow, other parts of Moscow, like in the oil fields, these pyramids were hollow, and they were built not using metal, no metal frames. Okay, it was completely like wooden composite, fiberglass cladded pyramids that you can walk into. And these were the effects that he observed using the expensive military helicopters. And what they found is that with the sensitive equipment they could measure ion columns going into the atmosphere that were generated from the apex of these pyramids. That's just one of the effects. Also, the shape of the pyramid, it has a function. It basically directs energy out through the tip and to affect the environment around it. It's why we make Oregon Energy shungite pyramids. They also can be used to place around your property to create a grid of protection against EMFs, against the cell phone towers and the chemtrails. There's a whole other study that we did based on Professor Golod. That's in one of the videos on our blog post. We can go on and on about it, but it's amazing what pyramids are able to do in the environment.
And I also wanted to mention here, because we just talked about ions. So if you know anything about ions, negative ions are very good for your health. That's what you feel when you're like, when you go to the ocean, when you're around running water.
And a rainstorm.
Rainstorm, like these are very, very good for your health and your energy field around your body as well. And then positive ions are the things that are bad for your health. And that's where positive ions are coming from the toxins, the EMF itself is a positive ion, chemtrails, that sort of thing causes positive ions. Our Oregon Energy products are natural negative ion passive emitters. They emit negative ions. So you're basically putting negative ions into whatever environment that they are. So you're sitting right next to them there, AJ. You got a whole bunch of negative ions going all around you right now to help your environment.
So much negativity surrounded by it. But no, it's yeah, just to elaborate on what you were saying there, is this is why so many things on the planet like stop you from connecting to the ground and to negative ions, you know, rubber-soled shoes, like stuff like that. And we build up all the positive ions in our body, like, and couple that with a lot of information from the, you know, Western diet, all the wheat and stuff like that. And that's what causes so much information in people's bodies. And people have no idea, and they only know when they become sick. And then people then instantly turn to chemical-based medications and stuff like that to try and, it's not even fixing the problem, it just masks it. When something so simple like detoxing from all the positive ions will literally fix your problem, and keeping something there, whether it's like a pyramid like this or other products or stuff that reduces all the positive ions nearby, is you're just going to be preventing it all the time. So and what I explain to people as well is that like the actual pyramid shape so unique in essence, because we are a representation of so many things on Earth, and pyramids are a representation of us. So when we sit in a meditative state, so we sit down cross-legged, straight, vertical back, all our energy centers, our chakras open. And just like with the pyramids, they are literally giant Wi-Fi machines in essence, aren't they? They just basically emit all this like scalar energy, as do the ones in Bosnia. The ones are the only ones on the planet that still do. Hence why the West and NATO, you know, use religion and false flags to create wars in these places of such dense energy, to try and harness it and stop us from using it. But like that angle, those angles are made in our own bodies, you know, and that's what pyramids represent, us. And it's when you can see it all that and all the connection, it just all makes so much sense, doesn't it?
It really does. And, you know, speaking of pyramids, we've got one more thing we'd like to cover on the pyramids to round out our slides here. And this is something that really fascinated us.
Yeah, it's only recently, basically we have from phys.org, the Great Pyramid can focus electromagnetic energy. And an international research group has applied methods of physics to investigate the electromagnetic response.
This is the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Pyramid of Giza to radio waves. So under resonant conditions, a pyramid can concentrate electromagnetic energy into its chambers and under the base. The research group plans to use these theoretical results. They mention how they're going to use it to create nanoparticles capable of, because this is scale, you know, the scale doesn't matter. It just shows that based on this geometry, it does indeed do what you mentioned, dealing with accumulating energy based on the frequencies that are around it. There's some videos dealing with this team, and basically they actually went to Egypt and they were throwing all kinds of, I mean, they had sensors to pick up RF energy in the environment, but they also were actively shooting all kinds of frequencies at these pyramids. They were shooting anything from RF to lasers, microwave beams, everything, and to get a relief of what was happening to the energy. And indeed, they were finding that, especially what's interesting is that how it was focusing it into the king's chamber, and also underneath the pyramid, deep underneath the pyramid. And it makes you, I mean, it just confirms that these pyramids were some kind of transducer.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're definitely focusing it to some purpose. And yeah, it's amazing.
The ones in Bosnia literally have a lake underneath them. I've got friends that have visited the sites and actually been inside. And I mean, even the tour in Glastonbury in UK is a little pyramid within itself, which has water running underneath it through it.
Wow.
It's interesting that this concept of bodies of water or mercury pools being
in China.
Well, in China also
the first emperor.
China and in South America, they found pools of mercury under some of those pyramids also.
It's really fascinating.
It's interesting if you look at all the studies that go into, you know, the use of these cathedrals and everything from all around the world to help, which were basically just giant energy centers, aren't they? And because if you look at all the how they're made and all the cathodes, you know, obviously where the word cathedral comes from, then the transducers and transmitters that are all over the actual buildings. I guarantee you many of these had lots of water underneath, and they're often by or near water sources as well, and used for like mass healing in a similar fashion, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about an ancient energy grid before our modern one. You know, before any of us can remember. It's been there this whole time. You know, when you were talking about where you live, and that's why I said I can only imagine what the energy is like to live on top of an area like this.
Yeah.
So with that said, these are the different types of products that we've got that we make here. We have a factory here, by the way. So we have a factory, we've got a team, we've grown that much. So we're making Orgonite 3 days a week and shipping out every single week all over the world. Worldwide shipping is included with all of our with all purchases on our website. So we've got sleeping pods that we were talking about. Those are for a good night's sleep. We also sell these things called charge plates. And so the charge plates, you can use those around your home to, you know, emit that passive field, but you can also put them in your refrigerator, and it turns your entire refrigerator into an orgone accumulator box, and it helps to preserve all of the food in your fridge.
The living food.
The living food. So things like fruits and vegetables.
Lettuces.
It made my romaine lettuce last an entire month in the fridge.
I can vouch for this as well. I've been using it in my fridge. So it's the food lasts a lot longer, and especially like we buy our food from the market so it's not from the supermarkets and sprayed with all their crap. But obviously, like, you know, on a good day, they don't last. They're not preserved as long because they're not sprayed with all the rubbish. So, they definitely preserve your fresh market organic food like a lot longer.
Yeah, and that's so important because it's always more expensive to buy the good organic market fruit and veg, and so you definitely want to be able to preserve that.
Yeah, a longer time.
It also it works in your freezer too. It will turn your freezer and your refrigerator into an orgone accumulator as well, and so all of your ice cubes will have those little striated markings that we were talking about, capturing the field inside of them. So something else that it does is it structures water, and there's an entire field of research based on structured water. We don't have time to go into it now, but it's very, very healthy and it's very good for you. It changes the structure of the water when the field passes through the water. So you could use our charge plates to just put a pitcher of water on top of one, leave it there for, I'd say, about 45 minutes. And that will structure that water that you can then drink, or you can use it to water your plants. It's very, very good for you. And structures other things too, like, you know, anything that has water in it, like tea, you know, maybe even coffee, like whatever it is, just put your drinks on top of it before you drink them. And also we've got our phone shields, and those you can use on your phone. They fit any phone. They just, it's a composite that's a big sticker, and it sticks right on your phone. So it fits all different phone styles. You just stick it right onto the phone, but you can also use it on like your laptops, on the back of your smart TVs, put it directly on your router, you know, wherever you've got Wi-Fi emitting or sending and receiving signals, put that there to help change that energy around them. And then we've got pendants, which I try really hard to always have my pendants on. Sometimes I'll double up. Today I got 2 on. But, you know, we've got our pendants. They come in 5 different colors. And then we've got pyramids. A lot of people like to buy like 4 pyramids to grid their property. So how would you use the pyramids?
Yeah, so basically the more you have, you know, the denser the field you're creating. But we suggest if you're going to use it for the outdoors to create an area of protection around your home, to put the first 4 around, either directly around your home, like your house, or around to define the borders of your property if you have acreage. Some of our customers are like, they live on a ranch, for example, because having 4 pyramids, if you look at the work of other scientists like Ken Rolla, who's an electrical engineer, who's also made his orgone pyramids, for example, he describes it depending on if you live in a place of low humidity, like we live in a place where it's basically a desert climate.
Yeah.
The field extends much larger, but you can at least have it go out for a couple of miles as far as how much influence it has in the environment, moving the positively charged chemtrails away from your immediate area. So you're not just protecting yourself, but you're also providing protection around your neighbors. But that's what you use to set up, or basically making your own grid for your garden and for your plants. And then, or if you want to take advantage of the close, like the near field, you would have like garden pucks, which is why we have these sets, like 4 garden pucks in the garden bed and a pyramid in the middle, something like that.
Yeah.
And what we've done on our property here is we have 100 garden beds, and we use orgonite throughout our whole property in the garden beds. And we're basically growing like the Garden of Eden in the desert because of the orgone energy. It creates this microclimate that's really great for plants. And we're able to grow things here that you normally could not grow in this area or this climate, because it helps to bring moisture into the air. It charges the moisture. When we water things, it's absolutely amazing what you can do if you're a gardener when it comes
if you're a gardener, you'd see the difference. You'd absolutely see the difference.
And the last product we've got here are these tiles that we've created. They're like construction tiles. They're the shape of a standard tile. And these are intended to be used in like your home improvement construction projects. So what you would do is you would get a few of the tiles and you would kind of pepper them around a room, an area. Like let's say you were remodeling a bathroom and you wanted to turn your bathroom into like an orgone therapy room so that you could go in there. The orgone is going to be charging and structuring the water that you're in the that's in the bathtub, that you're showering with. It creates that field in any room. You can use them to create a meditation room.
Yeah, or meditation bed, like a bed, like the flat part of the bed.
You could put them on a bed. There's a million different ideas. What we did, which was really interesting, is we just installed an in-ground pool on our property, and we put these orgone tiles in a waterfall structure that's right next to the pool. And we used about 15 of them. It's kind of large. And what has happened is it's actually charging the entire area and the water in the pool, so that when you swim in that pool, it's like you feel amazing after you come out. Like I had a really bad headache one day or some bad pain. The moment I went into that water, it instantly removed my pain, and it's different than any other swimming pool that I've ever been in. It's because of this orgone energy that we built into the construction. So those are the different products that we've got. But there's a ton of testimonies on our site. You can go and read the testimonies from our customers over the years. And just as a summary, these are the benefits that you'll get from our EMF protection products: better sleep, stress relief, pain relief, a healthy home environment, better seed germination and plant growth. It preserves fresh food and extends the shelf life of your food, and also helps to maintain healthy blood. And there you have it.
Fantastic. It's it just goes to show you, like, just, you know, the power of what's around us and is actually ready and available, you know, that's not just preserved and given to us on a plate and like this is all there is. and that's what I love about things like this is and to have around the house, and it's only going to, I guess it's all about a cellular level, like regenerating your health back to its optimal homeostatic status, which we all should be in, because everything in our life, from stress to toxins to the EMF and that, like, is all designed to keep us at a cellular level away from homeostasis, so away from perfect body balance. And that's when all the illnesses and ailments come in. So we make ourselves sick, and because of the things that we allow. And I'm a big believer in, like, you are what you allow. So if you allow yourself to be, totally poisoned on a daily basis, self-inflicted and from other sources, and don't do anything about it, then you're only going to be fighting a vicious battle all the time. So I think, if anything, even if you don't use any products, just the education at a base level on the sheer damage that electromagnetic frequency causes on the body through devices, and then you not only got that, you got all the programming it does to people in the instance as well. So the television, the phones and stuff like that. And they're called cell phones for a reason, because they literally keep you in a cell. They keep you within the five, what I call the mind prison of the five senses. So you all know, everyone listening is probably nodding their head going, yeah, I know, I get it. So moving forward, for people that want to explore more, obviously you've got your website, you've got everything that's on there. What's is that the best place for people to go to sort of like look more about the products and actually purchase some for their own home?
Absolutely. Check out our website. We've developed it over many years. We've got a very extensive FAQs section. We get lots and lots of questions, and we have been answering the same questions over and over again. So we created videos to answer people's questions. So definitely check that out. In addition to all the science and documentation and the studies, if you're just interested in this field of this fields of energy and research, we put all of that up there as well. There is a contact form if you want to contact us. And in addition to checking out our shop, you should check out our special offers, because we put together different sets of our products for people at discounted prices. Some people ask, like, is there a discount code for AJ Roberts? We don't have a discount code. Our discounted prices are under our special offers. Mm-hmm. So that's the best way to see that. And yeah, just come check us out. Amazing. And we always encourage people to try something small. Try a pendant. Yeah. Definitely try a sleeping pod. That's our #1 bestseller. Yeah. And see if you like it or not. And if you do, maybe you can come back and get a couple more things, because people always ask, what should I get? How should I, where should I start? And it's like, start with something small. And
because everybody is different.
Yeah, build out as you'd like, that sort of thing. And we do have a lot of repeat customers, and that tells us that our stuff really works. In addition to the testimonies that we get in the emails, we have a lot of people that come back to get more because our products have really helped them. So we feel great being able to do something like this, mm-hmm. to offer something like this that's really helping a lot of people. We've had over 20,000 customers in the years. So
wow, that's fantastic. Yeah. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
So yeah, I've got some sort of prototypes here for those who are watching on video. So you've got the pendants, to which literally very straightforward pendant. I took the big disc out of my fridge.
Yep. Yeah. Charge plate.
Yeah, charge plate. I've got the pyramid that I keep here in my office.
It's a good idea.
It's a great,
obviously, I spend quite.
Yeah, we have it. Yeah.
I spend a lot of obviously I spend quite a bit of time in here, as you can imagine, obviously recording and doing podcasts. I've actually got on the back of my phone one of the
excellent
the phone protectors there, which are fantastic, and then I've got one of the blocks as well, the tiles, which is awesome, which I'm going to keep downstairs, where a lot of the magic happens in the kitchen. So no, it's fantastic. It's such a great array of products and so simple as well. There's nothing you know, like there's nothing really to think about other than where you're going to put them in your house, and I guess setting that intention of how it's going to protect you and what it's going to protect you from. Because I think, you know, having the understanding is key as well. I think I imagine it works in two parts, because you need to put that thought and energy and emotion to like what it's doing for you, at the same time receiving it from the product as well. And I guess it's just a constant education process, isn't it, on like what you are about as a human being, and you know what nefarious things out there actually cause us harm, but also what we can do to prevent it. And I think what you guys are doing and have done, you know, since you started this this amazing company, the inception of it, and like you're saying, over 20,000 customers, that's 20,000 people that are being protected from, you know, the very thing that's, you know, designed to keep us busy, but also can make us sick. So amazing, guys, you know, hats off to you. And this is why, you know, I don't really advocate products as such, you know, because there's so many things out there that say they do this, they say do that, but like what I love about you guys is like, you know, everything's handmade. You know, you guys make to deliver, and you know, it's not like you've got loads of people, slave labor, slaving over like in, you know, some other part of the world, like making like cheap products, you know, that don't do what it says on the tin. Like you guys hand make it. It's your energy going into it, and the people are receiving your energy in the aspect of a fantastic product that's only going to benefit the health. So, you know, for me, I'm all for that, and I encourage anybody watching and listening to please, so, you know, check out the website. I'll put everything in the show notes, and any links that you guys need. And like you're saying, you know, you ship all around the world. You know, I know you ship to me, and my house is very heavily protected now. I've got a bit of a fort going on here. You know, no demons or bailiffs are getting in my house.
We've also got videos on our site that show you our factory, so you can see our factory, see how we make everything. You could meet our team. So we've got videos for that, and we did a video where we went to like an Airbnb type property, and we showed you exactly how to use the products, where to place them, how to grid your property. So we have a lot of stuff there.
We also have
some ideas.
Yeah, we also have a 4-part scientific explanation video that covers the invention, just the science behind how this works.
Much more in depth.
Yeah, more in depth. Yeah,
amazing. Well, is there anything you'd like to share with the guys and girls before we depart? Anything extra that you think they may be wanting to know?
Just thank you so much for this opportunity, and we hope that people will start thinking in terms of treating their body and their energy field, instead of just treating something physically, to treat the field of energy.
The attack is coming from the unseen, and that we have to be able to think along those lines as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I'd really like to echo that, because it's very much in line with like what I teach and what I talk about a lot, and you know, helping people connect to their fields. And it's a lot of there's a lot of distortion in people's fields as a result of all the EMF attacks, and that's why we feel the way we do, why people have sleep paralysis, why people struggle at a cellular level within the body, and the body then becomes a hotbed for dis-ease, you know, because of all the positive ions that then building up in us. So I can't stress enough to start taking preventative measures, ladies and gents, to increase your own health at a cellular level and increase your field. You know, we all have this amazing auric field to tap into. So it's vitally important that we keep that sort of like energized, revitalized, and as toxin free as possible, you know, despite, you know, the bombardment we get hit with on a daily basis. But please click the links in the show notes. You'll take you directly to their amazing website, and you can see all the amazing products there for yourself. Thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing, you know, your journey, but also, you know, it's just amazing to see how much help that you're providing to people around the world. You know, and I'm a big advocate for that. And those people who follow my show know that I'm all about showcasing, you know, the amazing work people are doing around the world to improve people's mental health, physical health, emotional health, spiritual health. You know, so I can't thank you enough for taking the time out today to share your amazing gifts to the world. So thank you.
Thank you as well.
Thank you, AJ.
Guys and girls, if you enjoyed today's podcast and you want to explore more, please click the links in the show notes, as I mentioned before, and please share this with as many people as possible. We all know people in our lives right now that can do with the help and prevention using the amazing products that these guys have shared with us today. I'm really thankful for they come on the show. So please share it with as many people as possible. And please keep continuing to improve your level of knowledge on how we can really, really look after ourselves, you know, in the best possible fashion. But from me and the guys, look after yourself, click the link below, and I'll see you once again very, very soon on the AJ